Hello and welcome to another session with me, Coach Karina and Mama Lou.
Thank you.
So today, what is the session about? Self-love. And I want to make it clear, this is not on a conceited vanity, a self-obsessive type of way. It's on self-love. And why do I decide to bring Mama Lou into this topic of self-love? Because of her wonderful wisdom and many things I have learned from her. I'd like her to pass on to you, the wonderful few listeners that I have, and hopefully that's growing, so please remember to give it a likes. But I find there are more mama women that suffer with self-love issues than men in general, although men have that too. And as a coach, I see a lot of why people are stuck in certain things, why they're not progressing, why they are repeating certain behaviors and patterns, is there is fundamentally, at the end of it, if you break it down, there is a lack of self-love. And you know, it's very hard for a lot of people to understand self-love, to work on the self-love, and clearly to have built it because they come from backgrounds where, you know, they weren't shown full, complete love, because either it's one single parent trying to do their best, or parents were very absent. I mean, sure, our childhood gets really messed up for most of the time. So what is your intuition, your thought, your guidance to say to some people who will be listening to this clip all around self-love, and how can people, and the importance of self-love?
I think we should perhaps define self-love. Self-love implies self-acceptance, accepting who you are, accepting that if the creator of entire universes, and apparently there is many parallel ones, and perhaps there is even some diagonal ones, and perhaps there is some circular ones.
Let's stay focused.
Whatever. You know, we have to understand that this same creator that does not replicate a single grain of sand throughout all the universes of all planets in the cosmos, really, he cannot create two human beings the same. And I think we need to appreciate our uniqueness. We need to focus on what it is that we have that nobody else came here with.
You're so right, because what a lot of people, what they focus on is like they want to replicate someone else. They want to have
Correct.
the same hair color. They want to have the same teeth.
Correct.
They want to have the same nose, the same funny eyebrows. I mean,
Correct.
What a beautiful reminder that if every single grain of sand is not the same, and clearly we ask, why would you want to compare yourself, look like someone else?
Yes. And,
sure.
So I think we should learn to educate our children and each other on the uniqueness of each person, because there is beauty everywhere in every person. Even a person that doesn't conform to the standards will have a form of beauty that is, you know, beauty is so ineffable and so untouchable. It's something that you can't even define, because what's beauty for you might not be beauty for me, and so on and so forth. And so we have to first appreciate our uniqueness. Secondly, learn to work on ourselves to discover what is it that are brought to the world, to share with the world. Because we are on this planet, and on this, I'm sure it is the same for other planets, we are just here to share with each other what we have brought. And so somebody has got like a perfect combination of kindness and say generosity. Another one has got a huge talent for music, you know, whatever. We are so different, and yet everyone is precious. And you know, it is during times like this where people are caught in the fear cycle and this spiral of what's going to happen with coronavirus, that even then you realize that, you know, someone is going to come into your life, and even though you might not touch them or kiss them or hug them in the same way, that person is going to bring something that you needed at that particular time. And when you look backwards into your life, you always see that, how, you know, even your friends, your cycle of friends wouldn't be the same if everyone was the same, because each person fills a little molecule in your heart. And so this is just to remind us that we have to learn, we really have to learn to love ourselves, and we have to also unlearn what was taught to us as children and as adults growing up. And I always go back to the old programming that needs to be broken and rewritten anew. Very often parents, out of their own fear, they inculcate in children the fear of not being good enough, or not being pretty enough, or not being up with the Johnsons, and so on and so forth. So it's work on oneself. You need to look into the mirror. This is a very, very, very powerful exercise. You look into the mirror and you say, I love you. You are just perfect as you are. There is nothing to hide and nothing to take.
And I accept you as you are. And you are enough. I mean,
I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you. And if I don't love you, I'm going to learn to love you so completely that you will stop walking in the world like a beggar with a bowl. Give me attention, give me attention, give me whatever. And you will walk with your shoulders high, and you know that you already are an expression of love. So it's going full circle from ignorance to the completion of the knowledge that every human being on this planet is an expression of love. And love is what we call God. Love is the super glue that holds everything together. Love is what holds the stars in their place and the planets in their orbits. And so we need to work on that. We need to just let go of the media, let go of all those things that distract us and perhaps drive us into the opposite direction of showing us how imperfect we are, by whose standards. Maybe the person who's doing a program like that, they look themselves like a little devil with horns. What do we know? What they look like.
And I have to share with you, I grew up very unconventionally, as many of you will know. And from a very young age, my mom didn't keep magazines at home and things like that, always reminding me that, they're trying to sell you things and make you believe certain things. Actually, it saved me a lot of money from not buying magazines and stuff, because you would always then want to compare yourself and say, oh, I'll only look nice or feel nice or be acceptable or whatever if I bought this and I looked like that. So, I mean, yes, I am a human being, and yes, I have ups and downs and whatever, but most of the time, whether I'm put on weight, whether I've lost weight, whether I have pimples, whether I don't have pimples, I've learned to know that I'm not my body, I'm not my face, I'm not my hips, I'm not my clothes, I'm not my car, I'm not my job, I'm not my friends, I'm not my parents. I am a child of this beautiful universe and God and focus. And it's a daily activity to remind yourself of that, So I personally am very mindful of what I listen to, who I speak with, who I'm surrounded with. And because we did another clip about taking responsibility, this is your life. You have to take responsibility for yourself and for your well-being and for what you choose to listen and to let in, and the programs you decide and the reality you choose to make real.
I think also, we need to relearn, for those who haven't learned yet, you need to learn and relearn to operate from the GPS inside, the God position system.
She's pointing to the belly.
Yeah, to the solar plexus, actually, to the solar plexus, right there. So we need to operate from here, because this is your GPS for life. It's the God positioning system. The God self.
Did you hear that?
Aligns.
GPS,
yeah.
God positioning system.
So it always makes you align what makes you feel good, what makes you feel right. And, it's the same for if you're listening to this clip and it is feeling good, then it is for you.
If it's not,
it's not for you. You probably tread somewhere else. Doesn't matter. Everyone is exactly where they need to be in their evolution. We are all walking on the same path. Some are far ahead and some are still just beginning the path, but it's okay, because everyone ultimately is still in the same path.
But coming back to the topic of self-love, I do see that when you work on this on yourself, you have an edge compared to the majority of the people in this world when you come from that place, because then you have inner confidence, you have inner belief. So when you are asked to do some sort of work that you don't have experience in or not, you somehow manage to do things better than the others, because you're coming from that place of self-love, which ultimately translates into confidence, into belief, and
yes, and you're not scared to say, look, I'm going to give it a try, you know, I never tried this, but I'm going to give it a try, and that's it, you know. And when you love yourself, you embrace the parts of you that are not so light, and you understand that we all have the angel and the demon, you know, and self-love is about feeding the angel instead of the demon. And so but also embracing the demon within us, you know, because many people have got many demons, and then they feel bad because they drink, or because they you know, they take illegal substances. But when you love yourself, you are operating in this world with a greater sense of awareness, with a greater sense of knowledge that you already are an expression of love. And when you operate from this higher operating system, which I call the God self or the divine self, you are literally above the rest, because the rest is still stuck onto their body or their mind or their obsession with this or that stuff. And you are already operating from this concept and this knowledge that you are this expression of love. And you are an expression. When you know that you are an expression of love, you operate in the world that way. You are kinder, not just to yourself, but to others. You are more lovely and more loving, not just to yourself, but to others. Because everything you are able to do for yourself, you can then spread around you. And people that cannot love themselves, they can also not love anybody else, you know. And the sad part is that people that do not love themselves expect that somebody's going to come around and do the work for them. And my question to all of those is, and I think we'll end this way, why would you expect someone to do for you that which you are not willing to do for yourself? Think about it. Why would you?
Lovely. Is there any other last thing on self-love? No?
Look in the mirror as often as you can and tell that soul that's coming through the eyes, I love you.
And I will say on this, I did this with many of my clients as an exercise, and I help them to do it. And actually every client of mine ends up by crying. But it's very powerful when you look into the pupils of your eyes. So you don't focus on your nose or your thing. You really connect with your eyes, and you let your physiology actually talks back to you. When you really say it several times and you get to going and saying that you do mean it, you're connecting with your soul, your pupils or the iris does a funny thing. And I remember when I did that for the very first time, it was such a beautiful, liberating feeling, because firstly, as a coach, I always practice everything that I preach. You know, I don't go and suggest people things and then I haven't tried or practiced it myself. But something beautiful, it's like an awakening. There's an expansion that happens in you. So if you haven't done that, please go ahead and do it. If your self-love is, you think it's okay, you still need to practice more than that. You know, you should, so that your cup and yourself is just overflowing with this beautiful love. Yeah, the birds in the background.
You know what I do? You know what I do to myself? Instead of just I love you, I say, you are a jewel. That's why jewels come to you.
And we'll end it at that. That's a very good one. Okay. Thank you for watching. Take care.